Welcome in to the 48 Minutes podcast on Bleav. I'm Ross Geiger, the former NBA video coordinator, and I'm joined alongside Bruce Bernstein, our four-time Emmy Award winner who spent more than 3 decades at ESPN producing NBA shows, SportsCenter, and soaking up knowledge from the best hoop analysts in the business. Also joining us is the 2-time Emmy Award winner, Michael Freer, who's a senior writer at Stat Factor, specializing in writing advanced statistical NBA reports for various announcers across the league. This is episode number 178, the Walter Davis episode, as the Suns legend won the NBA's Rookie of the Year honors in 1978. Now, with the regular season set to begin on October 21st, we continue our series of 2-a-day shows. They'll be shorter, and we'll release 3 new shows each week leading up to opening night. Each show will feature 1 team from the East and 1 team from the West. So please note, we'll be going alphabetically, so no need to read into any type of order. So let's keep things rolling with the Cleveland Cavaliers from the East and the Los Angeles Lakers from the West. Both teams that LeBron James happened to play for, but we're going to start with his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And this team finished last season with a very impressive 64-18 record, which was good for the best record in the East and second best record in the league, only falling behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, despite the Cavs' incredibly impressive season, they completely flopped in the Eastern Conference semifinals, losing to the Indiana Pacers in just 5 games. So, Bruce, do you see this Cavs team being a group that can lick their wounds and learn and grow from last season's very disappointing finish?
Well, they have a really great core with Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and Max Strus, who's already injured. He's going to be out about 3 to 4 months with a Jones fracture in his left foot. This team may not win 64 games this year, but easily a 55-win team, in my opinion, which might just be good enough for number 1 in the East, although the Knicks are going to be right there with them. One of their big weaknesses last year was perimeter defense, and they picked up Lonzo Ball, and that's one of his specialties. So I also grabbed Larry Nance Jr., who returns to the Cavs, where he had some of his best seasons from 2018 to 2021. So, yeah, they're going to miss Ty Jerome, and, Isaac Okoro is also gone. Jerome was a really solid 6-man last season, but I really feel like, if Cavs can stay healthy, and a lot of them have suffered injuries along the way, they should be number 1 in the East.
All right. World B?
Yeah, I mean, the loss to the Pacers was a real shocker in the playoffs, in the semifinals, just because you go back and look at just what kind of season they had, the Cavaliers. They had one of the best offensive seasons in NBA history. When you look at their efficiency, they had the second most efficient offense in the history of the league, 121 points per 100 possessions. They almost had the best shooting season in NBA history. They were the number 1 2-point percentage team. They were the number 2 in 3-point shooting team, and just barely behind the leaders there. So they were one of the best offensive teams we've ever seen in the NBA. And then they go in the first round and they just totally blitz the Miami Heat in 4 straight. We think, they're heading, at the very least, we'll see them in the conference finals. And then their defense, as Bruce mentioned, they were a top 10 team in defensive efficiency last season. But, man, they got exposed big time by the Pacers. They gave up almost 117 points per 100 possessions in losing to the Pacers in just 5 games. That was a real shocker. Not just that they lost, and not just that it was 5 games, but some of the games they were not competitive at all. And that was a real stunner because I think they have the best starting 5 maybe in the NBA, certainly in the East. I think they still have the best starting 5 if you look at everybody healthy. I mean, there's all-stars all over the place there.
Yeah.
So I think they can approach in a watered-down Eastern Conference. Certainly have to be motivated after what's happened, not just last season in the playoffs, the previous seasons in the playoffs. They just haven't gotten past where they want to be. I think they have an excellent chance to approach 60 wins next season. They're the clear-cut favorites in the East, even with everything that's going on in New York and whatnot. Because of all the injuries going on in Boston, Indiana, they still have an absolute chance to reach the 60-win mark and be the number 1 team in the East.
I totally agree with you, World B. And this Cavs team made some very interesting minor but potentially significant moves this past offseason. As Bruce alluded to, they added Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance Jr. makes his return to Cleveland. But they also made a solid investment into Sam Merrill, who's becoming a core piece, signing the shooting services to a 4-year deal to stay in Cleveland long term. And he's going to become much more important for this group right out of the gates with the injury news that came out to some of the other guys on this team. Garland's out due to injury, and also I'm blanking on his name now, and I should have had it on the top of my
Max Strus.
Max Strus. That's correct. Yes, I can't believe I forgot one of my guys. That's not like yeah, Max Strus being out really puts a damper on this team out of the gates. But of course, DeAndre Hunter gets his first full season in Cleveland. That should be something to keep an eye on as well. And then outside of that, the jury's still out on how much they may or may not miss Ty Jerome off the bench in his contributions next season. Lonzo Ball, hopefully, if he can stay healthy, will definitely improve that defense on the perimeter and with the backcourt guard play defensively. But one thing's for certain, and with most of these Cavs returning onto the court this year together, there's no more element of surprise with them. So instead, there's much more pressure this year on living up to the expectations, because the surprise factor of this team being good as a collective group is over. Everyone knows, I think they had 4 All-Stars last year. It's almost an All-Stars caliber lineup. So the target's kind of on their back in the Eastern Conference. Everyone knows they finished with the second best record in the league, only lost, I think, 8 home games last year. So no surprises with this team, all expectations that this core group of guys that are all paid now have to live up to.
Yeah, one thing on you talk about how well their starting 5 is. I mentioned how well they have depth. They had 8 players last season that league high that shot the league average or better from 3-point range, 36%. Among players who took at least 200 shots, I think they had 8 players shoot 36% or better, the most in the league. One of them being Ty Jerome. Obviously, he's gone. So they'll have to make up for that. And Max Strus being hurt, they're going to lose something there. But they have guys who can put the ball in the basket from the perimeter. So I don't think that's going to change at all. Health is just going to be their bugaboo, I think, going this season. If they can get healthy at the right time, I still think they're the team to beat in the Eastern Conference.
I don't think Garland's going to be available for the start of the season. He had the surgery in June, and he was expected to miss 4 to 5 months. Well, we're now 3 months into that time frame, and they feel like he'll be able to resume basketball activities when camp opens. But, it's not going to be easy to get off to a fast start if Darius Garland's not in the lineup, at the very beginning of the season. So last season, it's funny, he and Nikola Jokic were the only 2 guys in the entire NBA that averaged 20 points, 5 assists, and 40% on 3-pointers. So he's got a unique skill set there, and they're really going to need him, and they're going to need him to be healthy.
Definitely. Now let's go ahead and talk about the team that LeBron currently plays for, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. Last season, the Lakers finished 50-32, which was good for top 5 record out west. But Bruce, despite the fact that LeBron is set to turn 41 years old in December, with Luka having a full offseason to catch his breath, allowing the dust to settle from the shocking trade, he inked a 3-year extension with the Lakers, so he knows that his future is there. Luka did also have time this summer to kind of get back into shape here. I think the bar has kind of been raised with this Lakers group moving forward, despite LeBron kind of aging some more with Luka on board, Luka fit, looking good in FIBA. I mean, what are next season's goals for the Lake Show?
Before I get into Luka, I would like to just take a moment to appreciate LeBron James, who begins his 23rd NBA season. He's won 4 NBA championships with 3 different teams, finals MVP all 4 times. His combined regular season and playoff points total is 50,473. Number 1 all time, and more than 6,000 more than second place Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who also had a 20-plus year career. He even has a son on the team, okay? He's the oldest player in the NBA by 120 days. Chris Paul is number 2. And he's far from done. He averaged 24, 8, and 8 last season. Hello. I still believe, as I have believed for more than 10 years, he's the greatest all-around player the game's ever seen. And when everything and his career is over and everything is taken into consideration, I think more people are going to actually come on board with my take on that. That said, if LeBron was the youngest player you knew would be a Hall of Famer, Luka Doncic is right there with him. I mean, at the age of 26, he's a 5-time All-Star, a 5-time first-team All-NBA player. He fills up a box score better than anyone this side of Nikola Jokic. He's number 7 all-time in triple-doubles in just 450 career games. He's worked on his conditioning over the summer. It looks like he's ready to be an improved defender, more energy-laden games, a legit MVP candidate for a team that everyone expects to have a good season.
B, what's your thoughts on the Lakers heading into next season?
I don't think there's a team that's going to get more attention and more under the microscope, at least from the start, than the Lakers. I mean, what do we want to see in the NBA? We want to see if LeBron James, when is he ever going to slow down?
Yep.
Because it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. He's still a top 15 player at his age. That's ridiculous. And we want to see what Luka Doncic with his weight loss, his much new trim look, what that looks like on the court. Those are the two. If there's 5 big questions in the NBA entering the season, those are 2 of them. Yeah. So the Lakers are once again at the center of attention, and I think they have a shot to make another run at maybe the conference finals. I don't know if they're going to get there, but I think they have a shot with that group. They had the biggest home road winning percentage differential. They lost just 10 games at home last season, 31-10, but they were 19-22 on the road. So the guy fixed that up a little bit. It's kind of hard to believe with guys like LeBron and Luka around. They only won 6 games last season when they were trailing at the half. They were not a come-from-behind team by any stretch. When they led at the half, 43-7. So they were hard to beat once they had the lead at the half. But the other thing about this team, it's really, we talk about Luka individually, we talk about LeBron individually. Can these 2 really play together for a whole season? It's really a big question mark with this team because when they were on the court together, they only outscored opponents in the regular season by just 2 points per 100 possessions. That's not an astronomical figure by any stretch of the imagination over just 23 games. So I think they were like 15-8. And then when they got to the playoffs and they got sent home in 5 quick games by the Timberwolves, they were outscored by over 8 points per 100 possessions when the 2 of them were on the court. So we need to see these 2 actually work together. If they can, I really think they have a chance to be in the top 4 of that conference.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the spotlight, B, because I know that any team that has LeBron James on its roster coming into the season has a spotlight on them. But this year, as far as I'm concerned, more than ever, I'm going to be panning the spotlight off of LeBron James and focusing that light early out of the gates on both Luka Doncic and DeAndre Ayton, who has just joined this group. I think that duo has a chance to do something special in its own right. If Ayton's future Hall of Fame teammates are able to get the best out of him on a consistent basis, something that no one's been able to do thus far. Chris Paul tried his best in Phoenix. Portland tried to do it by making him the franchise player, signing him to a max deal, or I should say trading for him to make him the focal point of that team. But I think if Ayton comes to play each and every night, being spoonhead by Luka and LeBron, especially though that pairing of Luka and DeAndre Ayton in the pick and roll game, maybe allowing LeBron to take some rest offensively or get him off his feet on the bench to allow these 2 to play a little bit more during the regular season. It could be very interesting to see, just the ceiling that this team could potentially have, because DeAndre Ayton, there's no doubt about it. He's got star potential and has shown that. And there's a reason he was the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, almost half decade ago now. But still, I think he is a guy that we should be putting the early spotlight on, because if he gets out to a really big start as well, I mean, that's going to cover some of the top headlines too. Is DeAndre Ayton playing fantastic basketball? What's the ceiling of this team? All thanks to Ayton being on board, being focused, and of course, I think Luka and LeBron, there's no doubt that those guys are going to do what they've been doing year in, year out.
He was actually drafted ahead of Luka in the 2018 draft. He was the number one overall pick. Luka was either 2 or 3. I can't remember. He was 3. Yeah.
Bagley was 2.
Bagley. All right. And look, after Luka and LeBron, there are some pretty good role players on this team. I mean, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, who's coming back from some injury, and the 3 new additions. You mentioned Ayton. You also got Marcus Smart, who's going to help them out with some, good, solid defense and, good leadership in the locker room. Jake LaRavia, who came over. Dalton Connect is still there. And even Bronny James looked to be improved in his summer league games. So the Lakers always get their share of hype. And if Luka's improvement is legit, I could see this team winning 30 games, and I could see them finishing as high as 3rd in the West.
All right. World B, what's your thoughts on Bronny James? Do you think he could be a guy that has a rotational spot on the team next year?
I think he has a chance to. I think he's proven a lot of people wrong in that he has flashes that make you look like he belongs in the league. He's a really solid defender. He has to develop. He needs the time to develop. On a team like this, I don't know if he's going to have necessarily that time next season, just because LeBron, this is a win now team as well. We talked about the Clippers earlier in our preview being a win now team. Well, so are the Lakers. This could be LeBron's final season, either in the league or certainly with the Lakers. It doesn't sound like it's going any further than the season. So you want to get as much as you can out of this team. I don't know if that means given time to let Bronny James develop into a league. I think he has a shot, though. He has a better chance, I think, now than he did coming into the league last season when we thought it was all a joke and it was an embarrassment to the Lakers to have LeBron's son on the roster. I don't think that's quite the case anymore. I just don't know if this season's the one where we're going to see him play 20 minutes a night or something like that. I just don't. On a team that needs to win and needs to be successful, I don't think you have time to do that.
Yeah. Now, while we're on the topic of role players, 2 guys I think that could really elevate the Lakers next year into some serious contention is either Jake LaRavia or Jared Vanderbilt, who should be back healthy this year. He missed most of last season with this group, and Vanderbilt's definitely going to have to step up with Dorian Finney-Smith heading to Houston in the offseason. So if they could get some solid contributions, a surprise contribution from one of those 2 guys, I think this team could be very potent next year. Now, on our next 48 minutes to a day, we'll examine the Detroit Pistons and the Memphis Grizzlies. We hope you'll join us as we'll keep you up to date, but we'll go shorter than 48 as we hit every team. Take care, everyone.